I am Dr. Sharda Ramdas, Professor in the Department of Food Service Management and Dietetics, working in Avinashlingam University, Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. Hello to all the viewers. In the previous session, we have gone through the module on diet in diarrhea. This session is spared for dietary management in constipation, which is one of the common gastrointestinal disorders. After going through this module on constipation, you will be able to understand the normal bowel movement and causes of constipation. Learn the symptoms, types, complications and prescribe dietary management in constipation. First, we must know what is constipation. Constipation is an incomplete bowel movement and results in problem in evacuation of stool. When the large bowel absorbs too much water from the stool, it becomes hard and dry, making it difficult to pass. Are you not interested to observe the process of constipation? Yes, just watch an animation to see how constipation occurs. By seeing this animation, didn't you get an idea how constipation occurs? Okay, let me say what is a normal bowel movement habit. The colon or large bowel is a muscular tube about 1.5 meters in length. The wall of the colon relaxes and contracts in a wave-like motion. This motion moves, waste goes through the rectum. As this waste goes through the colon, water is absorbed and it becomes more solid. By the time it reaches the rectum, much but not all of the water is absorbed and it leaves the body as a formed stool. This process takes 1 or 3 days. Look at the animation to see colon reflex in defecation. You are also made clear colon reflex in defecation through this animation. Shall we see the types of constipation? What are the types of constipation? There are 3 main types of constipation, namely atonic constipation, spastic constipation and obstructive constipation. First, we will know about atonic constipation. Atonic constipation is more common among people. The main reason for atonic constipation are irregular habit, that is getting up late in the morning, rushing through the morning rituals, busy schedule of routine, spending very little time for visit to the toilet before going to the school or office or any other work. Sometimes non-availability of toilet for those who are sharing common bathrooms like in hostels or in hotels. Unhygienic conditions prevailing may make a visit undesirable or ignoring the defecating urge or postponing the act of defecation. Thus, the irregular habit of any type causes atonic constipation. Constipation also occurs due to lack of fluids in the body, especially after perspiration or if inadequate intake of fluid, water from the colon is completely absorbed and this leaves a small quantity of hard dry feces which does not produce enough distension to initiate a reflex for its evacuation. Next factor is lack of roughage, which contributes to the lack of cellulose and stool formation. Faulty food habits also leads to constipation, that is like irregular hours of meals, fasting or avoiding foods leaves little residue for evacuation. Deficiency of vitamin B1, which produces poor muscle tone, also result in constipation. Watch the next slide. Deficient intake of potassium or excessive loss of potassium by use of purgatives may result in loss of bowel tone, by which peristaltic action is reduced. Because of the reduction in the peristaltic movement, food is stagnated for a long time. Bacterial action on stagnated food is more, which aggravates the symptoms of constipation. Next, use of laxatives is another problem in constipation. Constant use of purgative or enema for evacuating bowel results in the loss of natural reflexes and tone of the bowel. Excessive use of laxatives can damage nerve cells in the colon and interfere with the colon's natural ability to contract. This results in atonic constipation. Now, let us see irritable bowel syndrome, which is abbreviated as IBS. A common disorder of the intestines lead to crampy pain, gassiness, bloating, changes in bowel habits. Some people with IBS may develop constipation. Next, among women, during pregnancy, the body produces more female organs than normal. However, these hormones slow down the intestinal movements. One of these hormones, called progesterone, acts as relaxing muscle. Therefore, pregnancy is another factor which leads to constipation. Iron supplements is also related to some extent pregnancy, because many women take iron supplements during pregnancy, which can also be a contributing factor to constipation, and pressure due to growing baby on the bowel, while the discomfort of its weight and general tiredness may lead to a lack of exercise. Both can slow down bowel movements. So, iron supplements along with lack of exercise play a role in constipation. You know, lifestyle changes such as aging and traveling can also cause constipation. Thus, the factors like irregular evacuation habits, inadequate intake of fluid or loss of fluid by perspiration, lack of roughage, faulty food habits, deficiency of vitamin and loss of potassium, use of purgatives, intestinal disorders of irritable bowel syndrome during pregnancy, iron supplements and lifestyle changes are the most common causes of atonic constipation. The next type of constipation is spastic constipation. Spastic constipation occurs due to excessive muscle tone of the colonic muscles. The movement of the food is very irregular and often causes pain in the lower abdomen. Irritating foods, excessive use of purgatives or mental stress produce this type of constipation. It occurs as a complication of some other disease. Excessive use of alcohol, tea or coffee also cause spastic constipation. The third type of constipation is obstructive constipation. Obstructive constipation is due to the obstruction of the bowel or malignancy of the colon. Besides this, the other causes for obstructive constipation are lack of exercise makes the digestive system sluggish. Some medications like calcium, pain reliever with codeine, antacid iron tablets, diuretics and medicines for depression cause constipation. Diseases such as multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, stroke, spinal cord injuries, diabetes, underactive or overactive thyroid gland, uremia, colorectal cancer, depression, colon tumors, diverticulosis also cause constipation. So far, we have discussed the 3 types of constipation. Now, let us see what happens if constipation prolongs. Look at the slide on the effect of constipation. There may be abdominal colic, that is pain in the lower abdomen, coated tongue, you can see white patches in the tongue, bloating, flatulence, that is gas formation, lethargy and feeling generally unwell, irritability and fretfulness in children, example, no interest in play, excessive straining during defecation, headache, nausea, halitosis which means bad breath, fecal impaction with overflow of diarrhea. This may be mistaken by diagnosed as diarrhea. So, in this situation, anti-diarrheal drugs should never be prescribed. This will exacerbate the constipation. Other factors are lack of appetite, feeling of sluggish, abdominal swelling, increased confusion in people with dementia, changes in behavior and distress in people with a learning disability, sudden or worsening urinary incontinence due to hard feces pressing on the bladder or urethra. Thus, so many problems may be seen among persons with constipation. It is imperative to find out whether these are due to constipation. So, how is constipation evaluated? By observing medical history, physical examination, blood test, abdominal X-ray, barium enema, colonic transit studies, defecography, anorectal motility studies and colonic motility studies. Shall we go through one by one? First one, medical history. A careful dietary history or a food diary for a week or 2 can reveal a diet that is low in fiber and may direct the physician to recommend a high fiber diet. A food diary also allows the physician to evaluate how well a patient increases his dietary fiber during treatment. Next one, physical examination. A physical examination may identify diseases, for example, scleroderma that can cause constipation. A rectal examination with the finger may uncover a tight anal sphincter that may be making defecation difficult. If a stool filled colon can be felt through the abdominal wall, it suggests that constipation is severe. Stool in the rectum suggests a problem with the anal, rectal or pelvic floor muscles. Next evaluation can be done on blood. Blood test may be appropriate in evaluating patients with constipation with special reference to blood test for thyroid hormone so as to detect hypothyroidism and for calcium to uncover excess parathyroid hormone. Next is abdominal X-ray. By this simple X-ray film of the abdomen, large amounts of stool in the colon usually can be visualized. The more stool that is visualized, the more severe the constipation. Next, barium anemia is used to take X-ray. In this method, liquid barium is inserted through the anus to fill the rectum and colon. The barium outlines the colon on the X-rays and defines the normal or abnormal anatomy of the colon and rectum. Tumors and narrowing are among the abnormalities that can be detected with this barium meal test. Next, colonic transit studies. Colonic transit studies are simple X-ray studies that determine how long it takes for food to travel through the intestines. For transit studies, individuals swallow capsules for 1 or more days. Inside the capsules are many small pieces of plastics that can be seen on X-rays. The gelatin capsules dissolve and release the plastic pieces into the small intestine. The pieces of plastic then travel through the small intestine and into the colon. After 5 or 6 days, an X-ray of the abdomen is taken and the pieces of plastic in the different parts of the colon are counted. From this count, it is possible to determine where there is delay in the colon. In non-constipated individuals, all of the plastic pieces are eliminated in the stool and none remains in the colon. When pieces are spread throughout the colon, it suggests that the muscle or nerves throughout the colon are not working, which is typical of colonic inertia. When pieces accumulate in the rectum, it suggests pelvic floor dysfunction. Next method is defecography. It is a modification of the barium enema examination. For this procedure, a thick paste of barium is inserted into the rectum of a patient through the anus. X-rays then are taken while the patient defecates the barium. The barium clearly outlines the rectum and anus and demonstrate the changes taking place in the muscles of the pelvic floor during defecation. Thus, defecography examines the process of defecation and provides information about anatomical abnormalities of the rectum and pelvic floor muscles during defecation. Another one, anorectal motility studies. It provides an assessment of the function of the muscles and nerves of the anus and rectum, which complements the defecography tests. For anorectal motility studies, a flexible tube approximately 1/8 of an inch in diameter is inserted through the anus and into the rectum. Sensors within the tube measure the pressures that are generated by the muscles of the anus and rectum. With the tube in place, the patient performs several simple maneuvers such as voluntarily tightening the anal muscles. Anorectal motility studies can help determine if the muscles of the anus and rectum are working normally. When the function of these muscles is impaired, the flow of stool is obstructed, thereby causing condition similar to pelvic floor dysfunction. Next one is colonic motility studies. Colonic motility studies are similar to anorectal motility studies in many aspects. A very long, narrow, flexible tube is inserted through the anus and pass through the part or all of the colon during a procedure called colonoscopy. Sensors within the tube measure the pressures that are generated by the contractions of the colonic muscles. These contractions are the result of coordinated activity of the colonic nerves and muscles. If the activity of the nerves or muscles is abnormal, the pattern of colonic pressures will be abnormal. Colonic motility studies are most useful in defining colonic inertia. These studies are considered for research work, but they can be helpful in making decisions regarding treatment in patients with severe constipation. Therefore, the studies need to be undertaken based on the problem so as to identify what exactly the problem. Watch this slide to understand the complications of constipation. Neglected constipation results in passage of hot stools. Distension of the bowel due to accumulated feces may produce malaise, headache and apathy. These symptoms disappear immediately on evacuation of the bowel with a suppository. Straining during evacuation may lead to fissures, piles, prolapse of the rectum or inguinal hernia. It is dangerous for a patient with heart disease to strain during defecation. Next, depletion may be the result of fluid and electrolyte loss. The potassium content of liquid stools after a purge may be 5 to 6 times the normal. Low potassium decreases intestinal peristalsis and predisposes patients with damaged hearts to irregular heartbeats. A drastic purge or a high enema before surgery may deplete fluids and electrolytes, particularly when the food intake is also reduced. Next, intoxication. How does it occur? When plain or soap water enema or bowel wash is done or repeated use of enema, there will be excessive water absorption and intoxication may follow. All these are complications of constipation. We cannot simply ignore and leave it. We have to take steps to avoid or control the problems. Let us observe the other slides how dietary management prevent or control constipation. What is the main objective of treating constipation? To encourage bowel movement and bowel evacuation. A well balanced diet with high vitamin B and liberal fluid intake is recommended. First, let me talk about calories. Based on the age, sex and occupation, calories required varied. The intake of dietary fiber should be increased by eating whole cereals, whole grain breads, and cereals should be substituted for refined ones. Bran is useful for some patients, but excess ought to be avoided as it may sometimes irritate intestinal tracts. Fiber has a capacity of holding 6 gram water per gram of fiber, but the fine bran holds only 2 to 3 gram of water per gram. So, it is recommended to take coarse fiber. Coming to fats, it stimulates the flow of bile and also lubricate the bowel. Butter, ghee and cooked oils are beneficial for lean patients. However, fried foods should be avoided. In the case of carbohydrates, even in obese person, adequate bulk on a reducing diet can be supplied in the form of vegetables and whole fruits, which are rich in unabsorbable cellulose. Bulk can also be provided by unrefined cereals which contain bran. For lean persons, banana, dried fruits like figs, raisins, dates and apricots are useful. Coming to vitamins, vitamins of the B groups, preferably as brewer's yeast, help some patients to regulate the bowel function. Minerals, especially potassium, can be supplied by giving vegetable soup, fruit juice or oral potassium salts to prevent constipation to acute or bedridden semi-starved patients. Next, fluids. A liberal amount of fluid, about 10 glasses or more in hot, humid weather is advised. Warm fluid taken in the early morning on an empty stomach, such as hot water or weak tea, helps some people to evacuate the bowel. As far as protein is concerned, normal requirement is sufficient. Daily exercise such as brisk walk is helpful. Let us go through few home remedies to prevent constipation. Drink lemon juice in a glass of warm water by adding honey every day morning in an empty stomach. Prepare juice from half lemon and add honey and rock salt and drink once or twice a day. Include grapes which contains insoluble fiber that helps in regulating bowel movement. Soak and peel 2 to 3 almonds or dried figs and grind to a paste and add honey and take in the night. All these promotes normal bowel movement. Just look at the summary of dietary guidelines. A high fiber diet is characterized with coarse cereals, whole grain with bran, pulses, salad, vegetables, fibrous vegetables like ash gourd, snake gourd, pumpkin, leafy vegetables, roots and tubers, dried fruits and fluids. Avoid highly refined and concentrated items like maida, fried foods, excessive sweetened, pickled, puppets and chutneys. Follow bland cooking. In spastic constipation, high roughage is harmful. A soft bland diet is recommended. Small meals prevent stagnation of food mass in the intestine. A normal diet with light mental attitude is recommended for a person having constipation. A regular time for meals is very important. Vitamin B supplements are also essential. Exercise also enables proper bowel evacuation. Daily 8 to 10 glasses of water must be ingested to help stool formation. Potassium rich vegetables like beans, beetroot, carrot, potato and fruits like banana, apple or guava or orange juice or tomato juice must be included in the daily diet. Relaxed living enables proper bowel movement in the body. Hope now you are all familiar with the types, causes, ill effects and especially the dietary management in constipation. Next session we will be looking on peptic ulcer. Till then, bye to all listeners. Thank you.